It's 8:30.
It's 8:30, New York time. Time to wake up, America, and stump the experts. Each week at this time, Lucky Strike presents Information Please. You send us tough questions, and we provide tougher experts. For every question we use, Lucky Strike pays out $10 plus a copy of the new Information Please quiz book. If your question stumps us, you get $25 more, plus a 24-volume set of the current Encyclopedia Britannica. Send your questions to Information Please, 480 Lexington Avenue, New York City. If our editorial staff edits your questions a bit, don't fret over it. In case of duplication, Information Please uses the question that was received first, and all questions become the property of Information Please. And now light up a Lucky Strike as I introduce our master of ceremonies, the literary critic of the New Yorker magazine, Clifton Fadiman. Mr. Fadiman.
Ladies and gentlemen, unrehearsed and completely spontaneous, as you know, Information Please continues on its go-as-you-please path. And tonight we have the following experts: the conductor of the New York Post's Conning Tower, the lyrical Franklin P. Adams, his distinguished sidekick, the sports authority and rememberer-in-chief, John Kieran, and we also have with us as our guests the well-known New York attorney and New York State Congressman, Mr. Kenneth Simpson, and Judge James G. Wallace of the New York Court of General Sessions. Now remember, for each question that's missed, Lucky Strike rings up $25. And that's paid out to the sender, plus 24 volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now we'll begin, shall we, with a question coming to us from Fred A. Hood of Walton, New York. Judge Wallace, about how far back would you say your memory went? Pre-Adams or post-Adams?
Well, I should say trifle pre-Adams.
Trifle pre-Adams. Well, you would be the first on this program of whom that could be said. See how far back it goes on this question. What event made the headlines on each of the following days? I have 4 days. Let's see if we can get 3 out of 4. Now, the first, March 11th to 14th, 1888. Well, those are 4 days. Judge Wallace.
Blizzard?
Yes, the great blizzard of 88.
I remember it very well.
You do remember it, flake by flake?
Flake by flake.
Mr. Adams, you had your hand up, too, did you not?
I would have said the blizzard, but I read about it as a child.
I remember I couldn't go to school.
Well, I think that places you, Judge. Now, how about January 20th, 1937? That's a much more recent date. Mr. Simpson.
That was the date of the inauguration of Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Why is it a date specially to be remembered, Mr. Simpson?
By me or?
Well, generally.
Well, because it was the first time in the history of the United States that a president was inaugurated on the 20th of January rather than on the 4th of March.
Yes, by what authority was that
By
done?
the authority of the 20th Amendment.
100%. Go to the head of the class, Mr. Simpson. That's very good. Now, how about February 15th, 1898? February 15th, 1898. Mr. Adams.
I think that was the date of the sinking of the Maine.
Yes, indeed. You certainly remembered the Maine, Mr. Adams. That's 3 out of 3. And how about May 28th, 1934? May 28th, 1934. Mr. Adams again.
34. This is... I think
Don't count.
that was the day the quintuplets were born.
That's right. Very good. That's very good going, Mr. Adams. 5 out of 5 on that, Mr. Adams. That gives us 4 out of 4 on the headline dates. What can you do with this one? This comes from Marion F. Colian of Washington, D.C. I want you to recite some lines of poetry for me, if you can, gentlemen. Not songs, if you don't mind. About 3 different kinds of fruit. Lines of poetry about different kinds of fruit. 3 different kinds. Run through the fruit in your head, gentlemen. Apples, pears, bananas.
No songs?
No songs. Lines of poetry. Genuine poetry. Are all you gentlemen meat eaters? Well, let me start you off, shall I? How about the description of Santa Claus and the visit from St. Nicholas? A nose like a cherry, wasn't it? That's 1. We don't seem to be doing very well on this one. Mr. Adams.
Comfort me with apples, for I am sick.
Yes, very good. You forgot to say what it was you were sick of.
I think that's from the Song of Solomon.
Yes, and what is it that you are sick of? For I am sick of love. Don't you remember it? For I am sick of love. That's right. Now, how about another one? Mr. Simpson.
The little foxes that eat our grapes, for our grapes have tender vines.
Yes, that's a very good one from the Old Testament, too. I'll accept those as lines of poetry. And now, how about one more? Oh, I should think we ought to be able to get one. How about the famous line from A.E. Housman about the cherry tree? Any of you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Loveliest of trees, the cherry now is hung with bloom along the bough. Well, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I think that will send, courtesy of Lucky Strike, $25 to Miss Collier of Washington, D.C., plus a set of the Britannica. Oh, there are a number of others. How about Feed Upon Strawberries, Sugar and Cream from Mother Goose Rhyme?
Till cherry ripe themselves do cry.
Now, why didn't you come in before, Mr.
I didn't think of it.
Raymond Abbott of Burbank, California. Don't seem to be able to get off fruit. Sends this one in. This is one that he wants you to get 3 out of 4 on also. Name the present justice of the Supreme Court who was appointed by the following presidents. Now, the first is President Wilson. What present justice was appointed during that administration? Mr. Simpson.
Mr. Justice McReynolds.
That's quite correct. What year would you say?
About 1913.
14. That's good enough. Thank you very much, Mr. Simpson. That's good going. Now, how about President Coolidge? In his administration, what justice was appointed? Mr. Simpson again.
Mr. Justice Roberts.
No, I'm sorry.
Holland Stone?
Yes, Holland F. Stone. That's quite right, Judge Wallace. I'm afraid we can't count that right, though. We have to count Mr. Simpson as the answerer there. That gives us one wrong. Now, how about in Mr. Hoover's administration? What justice was appointed? Mr. Simpson again.
The Chief Justice.
Yes, that's quite right. Chief Justice
Hughes.
And there was also one of the non-Chief Justices
Mr.
appointed.
Justice Roberts.
You were right there. Justice Roberts in 1930. Now, how about in Taft's administration? What justice was appointed? Have to get this one right.
Benjamin N. Cardozo?
No, I'm sorry, Judge Wallace. It was Justice, at that time, Justice Hughes. Now Chief Justice Hughes, but then appointed as a justice. Well, that will send $25 of Lucky Strike's money to Mr. Abbott, plus a set of the Britannica. 2 wrong out of 3 so far. Lucky Strike has just so much money and no more, gentlemen. Ruth T. Smith of Menlo Park, California, sends this one in. Get 2 out of 3. This is about pirates. What pirate, of fact or fiction, was a member of the British peerage? A member of the British peerage, Mr. Adams. So far, you're okay.
Pirate?
Yeah, pirate.
Frederick.
Who is Frederick?
Frederick in Pirates of Penzance.
Yes, or any of the pirates in the Pirates of Penzance. Weren't they all noblemen?
They became so.
Yes, they were strayed noblemen, as it were. That's quite right. Now,
Not much of a jump.
what pirate, in this case of fact, is said to have buried some of his treasure less than 150 miles from New York? Stay where you are, gentlemen. Mr. Kieran.
Well, Captain Kidd,
Captain Kidd. And where is he
For
supposed
one.
to have buried that treasure?
along all the shores, 150 miles each way.
Well, if you'd care to know, Mr. Kieran, though I know you're not greedy, it's in Gardiner's Bay at the east end of Long Island. In case you want to go clam fishing or something like that around there sometime. That's quite right, Mr. Kieran. How about this one? What pirate became famous because of a wild pitch? Mr. Kieran.
He was a fellow with an odd name. Pitched for the Pittsburgh Pirates on the last game of the World Series at the Yankee Stadium in 1927.
Oh, boy, that's right.
Now,
Very
wait a
good.
minute. His name just doesn't come to my mind. He's a great big fellow.
I suppose I give you his first initial.
Yes.
M. That is the initial of his last name.
M-A-M-A-U-X.
No,
not Memo.
What's his nickname? Give me his
I don't know his nickname.
Oh.
Do you know, Mr. Simpson?
Milton?
No,
No.
Mildrews. Mildew.
Jovo Mildew.
That's right. And what happened as a result of that wild pitch, Mr. Kieran, that you remember so well?
The ball game and the World Series was over.
Good enough. That gives us 3 pirates out of 3 pirates, gentlemen, and sends us on to this one. This comes from Edith Stevens of St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Have to get all here. Now listen carefully, gentlemen. I'm going to give you the last word of each of several lines from the choruses of old-time songs. There are going to be 3 of them altogether. The last words. You're first to name the title of the song, and then you can either sing the chorus or you can quote it. And if you prefer to sing, we have a studio pianist here who will give you the key and start you off. Now, here is the first set of last words of the lines.
Of a chorus or of a...
Of the chorus, that's right. Of the chorus. Censured, despised, ventured, that's a peach of a rhyme, advised. Mr. Adams.
That is, she's more to be pitied than censured.
That is correct. And could you make
She's more to be helped than despised.
Very good. Go ahead.
She's only a lassie who ventured on life's stormy way, ill-advised.
Very pretty. Very pretty.
Do not crush her with words harsh and bitter.
Go ahead.
Do not laugh at her shame and downfall. For a moment, just stop and consider that a man was the cause of it all.
Judge Wallace, you wouldn't consider an offer to stay off the bench, would you? That's pretty good going, gentlemen. Very good. Now, here's another similar problem. See if you can do as well on this. Here is the set of rhyme words at the end, you see. Give me the title of the song, and give me, sing or quote, the chorus. Days, prime, days, time. Mr. Adams again.
She may have seen better days.
Did you know that, Judge Wallace? Would you,
when
Mr. Adams, care to do anything
her
on this one?
prime, she may have seen better days once upon a time. Though by the wayside she fell, she may yet mend her ways. Some poor old mother is waiting for her, who has seen better days. I think that was written by James Thornton.
That was
But I'm
written
not
by
sure.
Krause and Thornton. That's right. This Wallace-Adams combination is remarkable. And I like the work that Simpson and Kieran are doing, too. How about
enjoy
this
it.
one? Now, here is the last of these rhyme words.
Oh, dear.
You'd like to keep on forever, Mr. Adams? See what you can do with this. Lady, allow, sister, now. Oh, Mr. Adams and Judge Wallace again.
My mother was a lady, like yours you will allow, and you may have a sister who needs protection now. I've come to this great city to find my brother dear, and you wouldn't dare insult me, sir, if Jack were only here.
Throw them out, Kieran. They're breaking my heart. Thank you very much,
in the
gentlemen.
House
Perfect
Representative.
rendition. Now, gentlemen, back to business. Here's one from Mrs. Gilbert F. Alcott of Bloomington, Illinois. Get 2 out of 3. Who asked the following questions of whom? And I want just plain, ordinary, non-lyrical replies. The first question is, what writest thou? Who asked that of whom? Mr. Kieran.
Abu Ben Adam, according to Leigh Hunt.
Yes.
He asked the angel
Asked
who
the
stood
angel.
within his room.
That's right. How does it go?
Because
remember?
exceeding peace had made Ben Adam bold.
And I'm sure you
You
can
don't
go
want
on
the
with
whole poem.
I would love to have it, but we just haven't time. If you could
Adam's
sing it,
name left all the rest anyway.
that's the way it goes, Judge Wallace.
Thanks, old fellow.
How about this one? Why, Daddy? Who says that? Well, they all seem to know that in the studio.
Baby?
Mr. Judge Wallace.
Baby Snoop?
Yes. Do you spend any time on the bench at all, Judge?
I have a radio right underneath.
The last question is, how do I love thee? How do I love thee? Mr. Kieran.
That's from the Sonnets from the Portuguese by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How
Yes.
do I love thee? Let me count the ways, and so forth.
And who says it to whom?
She says it to Robert Browning,
She
to
says
whom
it
the
to-
sonnets were addressed.
Robert Browning. That's quite right. Now, so far, Lucky Strike announces a loss of $50 in 2 sets of the Britannica. And now, Mr. Cross gives an old truth a new twist, and I think new meaning.
Everybody knows you get what you pay for. But in buying cigarettes, you get what we pay for. By that I mean the kind of cigarette you get depends on the kind of tobacco bought for it at the auctions. To illustrate, at auctions in Williamston, North Carolina this past season, the American Tobacco Company paid 56% more per pound for the tobacco it bought for its cigarettes and other tobacco products. Yes, 56% above the average market price paid for all the various types and grades of tobacco sold there. And the best we bought will go to Lucky's. Well, it's like that at auction after auction all over the South. Lucky Strike consistently pays higher prices to get the finer, the lighter, the naturally milder tobaccos. So remember, in buying cigarettes, you get what we pay for. And Lucky Strike foots the bill for finer, lighter, milder cigarette tobacco.
An old truth gave birth to a new truth in just 57 seconds, Mr. Cross. And now we'll go on with the second half of the program with a question coming to us from C.R. Holland of Altoona, Pennsylvania. Get 2 out of 3 on this, gentlemen. What are the errors in the following courtroom quotation?